Hello, this is Todd with another Bushcraft and Survival video, and today I want to talk about basic survival gear and my thoughts on the subject. So there's the 5 C's, which is something Dave Canterbury talks about, and I think it's a good thing to remember. It helps you to make sure you have those 5 basic elements in your survival kit, and so I use it, I teach it, and everywhere I go, unless it's a walk in the park, I've got those 5 C's with me at least. There's also the 10 C's, which are additional items that can keep you from getting in that survival situation, but the 5 C's are things that, if you are in that situation, go a long way to help you surviving. So those 5 C's would be cutting tool, combustion device, cordage, cover, and container. So let me do a rundown on those items, and I'll talk about my take on what I think you should have, or at least what I think I should have when I go out into the wilderness. So many people talk about, oh, here's what you must have, and here is the knife you must have, so on and so forth. But a lot of times what people don't talk about is having a little diversity for different situations. And for myself, I have different kits for different situations. I have one set of items for walking in the park with a group, and another set of items when I go off on a multi-day adventure by myself in the wilderness in a very remote area. 2 totally different situations requiring 2 totally different sets of survival items. So let's start with cutting tools. That seems to be one of the most popular topics, but so here I have a heavier pack where I know I need to carry more gear. So I might use this pack for even an overnight adventure. Whereas for a day hike, I might use a smaller pack like this. And I'm gonna have different items in each of those kits. And this here is Gabby. She's my faithful companion, and she helps me on a lot of my adventures. She's a hunter like myself, and obviously does well hunting in the dark. So talk about knives for a minute. As you can see, I like to have high visibility items whenever possible, like this knife. This is a Mora high visibility cordage. I usually have some sort of either reflective or orange cover, tarp or whatever, that I can use for signaling or to be seen. So as far as knives, I've got a couple of orange ones here, but I totally believe in having more than one cutting tool, and so my knife collection doesn't reflect too many one knife options. This is probably about the closest to one knife option that I have in my collection, and this is something that I made from a a knife blank. It's full tang and very sturdy. It's a thick tang. These handles I made myself from a piece of hickory, actually the same piece of hickory as I made this Tomahawk handle with. And this is a very sturdy tool and fits the description that many people have for a bushcraft knife. So that's about as close, I would say, to a one knife option that I have. But even if I'm carrying this, I'm going to have a backup blade, like a folding knife at least. Now my philosophy is that a saw can do a lot for you, and these days I like to carry more saw if I'm going to have a light knife. So I like these Moras. This is a Mora Companion, orange, high visibility stainless, and it's a great knife. Not something you would use for like heavy batoning, but I feel that if you have a saw with you, you can get away with doing less heavy work with your knife. So I have a couple of silky saws. This is a Silky Pocket Boy, which of course is smaller than the Silky Gone Boy, which if I know I'm going to do a lot of heavy cutting, carry that. But in a lighter kit, a pocket saw like the Pocket Boy or this Outdoor Edge folding saw, you can do a lot of cutting with that small, light tool. And it's being small and light, you know, you're more likely to carry it. So that's a big consideration for me. I do a lot of backpacking and long distance hiking, and so weight is a big consideration in your kit, in those situations at least. So lightweight is important for me, and these lightweight tools like a light knife, this buck, which is a buck light, is a great knife. It's full tang actually, lightweight. I guess the only downside of this would be the handle. It's obviously not as big and comfortable to hold as this one, but you know, you can wrap your bandana around it and do a lot of cutting with that tool right there. It's lightweight. If I'm going on a day hike in the mountains with a group, I'll probably have this and some backup knife like this Buck Light folding knife. Good quality tools. In other situations where I want to have a lightweight option but also a sturdy knife, I might carry either the heavy duty Companion, a little sturdier, or something like this, which is sturdier yet. It's a very sturdy blade there. I've got a old hickory butcher knife that I've customized. Obviously I wrapped the handle with some grip and put a patina on it. These are great, inexpensive knives, but you know, $15. You know, I had trouble with one where I was batoning with it and it chipped out some sections. I'm not saying that they're bad knives. They're great knives and very popular in the bushcraft community, but as a survival knife, you got to think about $15. Maybe the heat treatment wasn't done well on that particular knife, and so you got to think about that. I wouldn't carry this as a one knife option for sure. I'd have a backup, but it's a great knife. You can do a lot with it. So like I say, depending on the situation, I'm probably going to have two knives, a heavier knife and a lighter knife, and a saw, at least something like that, as a bare minimum. So another cutting tool option is a Tomahawk, and this one happens to be a cold steel trail hawk, which I customized. A lot of people do. They're inexpensive, and so most people strip off the black coating so it looks more like an old style authentic Tomahawk. And then I made an extra handle out of a piece of hickory, just so it looks cool. And I have an extra handle, and these Tomahawks are good because they have a friction fit and you can easily replace the handle. So if I want to do some chopping, I know I'm going to do some chopping, and I don't have to go extremely lightweight, then this 1 pound chopping tool is a great option to carry with me, and I have carried it backpacking. It's a fairly lightweight chopping tool, and you get the power from the longer handle on Tomahawks, so you save weight on the head. So that's my feeling on the cutting tools. Cordage, another one of the C's. I got some lighter cordage and some heavier 1100 Paracord. Can't say enough about cordage. It's great to have a variety of cordage with you. It ties stuff together. It's an important survival tool. Cover. This is one of those $1 cheap ponchos you can buy in the dollar store, and even on a day hike, even if I don't have a lot of this other stuff for a walk in the park, I'm going to have something like this as my cover, because yes, you can get hypothermia even in the summer if you get totally wet. So a simple option will prevent that. So I'll have this at least. You know, I do have a poncho which can be used as a tarp, a nice sil nylon poncho which I can use as my cover and my shelter system basically. So cover's important, and then having several space blankets which weigh nothing, you can do a lot with those as well. That can be your cover. It can be used as one of the components in your shelter. A lot of videos on how to use space blankets, but you need cover, absolutely. Fire. Everybody talks about you should have at least 2 ways to make fire. Of course, handy dandy Bic lighter. That's first fire maker you should have, and then match safe. So I've got some safety matches, and of course a ferro rod. I don't have a striker with this one, but I've got all my knives. I've put a burr on the back edge so that I can make sparks with my fire steel. Of course, tinder. You do need a way to if you're using a ferro rod, you need, and these other things, you need some tinder to get it going. A lot of people put petroleum jelly in cotton balls, and that is a great fire starter. On my ferro rods, you know, I've made handles for each of them and glued them on with hot glue. And these handles are made of fat wood, so I can scrape off some fat wood, and can be easily lit with Paracord. So fire, extremely important. And then containers. Here we go. When you talk about containers, you're talking about water. So you're also talking about how to purify water. Very important. I've got a lightweight filtration, a Sawyer Mini, that I carry with me most of the time. I also have some water purification tablets with me in all my kits because they're so lightweight. And I just throw several of them in each of my kits. And then a way to boil water is important too. If you or somebody you're with does get into a hypothermic situation, one of the things you can do to help treat them is to boil water and have them drink some hot water. So either a tin cup to heat water in or a metal water container is a great way to boil water, not only to purify it, but also you have hot water to help with that hypothermic situation. Very important to be able to purify water, and this doesn't weigh a whole lot more than your standard Nalgene container, so I've got several metal water bottles in most of my kits. And Gabby seems to approve. So those real briefly are the 5 C's. Like I say, I've got different sets of items for different situations, so I'm going to use different versions of these 5 C's depending on the situation, whether it's hike in the park or an extended solo adventure. When I'm by myself, I'm going to have more tools and gear with me than if I'm with a group. The people I hike with, I know them, and I know what they're carrying, which is a good idea to know what gear the entire group has, because that way I know I might be able to get away with less in the way of cutting tools. If I break this, I know somebody else has a knife, and we can survive. So those are my thoughts, and I'd be glad to hear y'all's thoughts on this as well. Kind of developed this philosophy over time. So I didn't want to leave out probably the most important cutting tool in the 5 C's of survival that anyone can ever have out there in the wilderness. This baby goes on pretty much every outdoor adventure that I go on, and it obviously has many benefits. So don't forget your trusty lawnmower when you go out there in the woods. Todd out. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to see other videos like this, be sure to hit the notification bell so you know you'll receive notifications when a new one comes out.